Today we're going to be abusing Waste Not in Legacy as soon as turn 1. As it is a 2 mana enchantment, we will need to use fast and degenerate mana to be able to put it into play. After getting Waste Not on the table, we will use some of Magic's best mono black discard spells to make sure we trigger the enchantment. Waste Not only has a lot of text, but to sum it up, we get different powerful effects depending on the card type the opponent discards, leading to some very degenerate turns, and will help us draw our win conditions. To finish off the opponent, we have a lot of land destruction to make sure that they stay behind on board, and we can use our alternate win conditions to beat them down in Urza's Saga and Shieldred. To start the first round of this video, we have an amazing opening hand because we have both Dark Ritual, Chrome Mox, and a land drop to make. As we are on the draw, the opponent starts off with a Preordain and a land that we could potentially destroy. After they finish resolving the Preordain and pass back the turn, we find a Swamp off the top of the deck. From here we can play the Swamp and the Chrome Mox and the Dark Ritual, and then I go deep into the tank. Here I can either play Thoughtseize and Hymn to Tourach, or Sinkhole and Hymn to Tourach. Wanting to slow them down as much as possible, I Sinkhole and they do have Daze in response. There's no point in paying because the land is in their hand, so now we can follow up with the Hymn, which they do have a Force of Will for. That doesn't matter too much because Force did discard them a card. However though, with just a third land and a Thoughtseize in hand, we do need to find something off the top, which we are a beast and find the Shieldred. So now I can start with Thoughtseize and take the best card from their hand. With an Atraxa and a Show and Tell in their hand, it is very clear their game plan, so let's take the Show and Tell as it's their best card and try to draw a land to put the Shieldred into play. The opponent manages to find their second land to put the Sylvan Library on the table, and we manage to find our fourth land, which is a Wasteland, to slam the Shieldred. So now not only is the Shieldred coming down, but we can then Wasteland the opponent next turn. What's good is Shieldred triggers in any draw step, so it turns off the Sylvan Library, as if they do use the Sylvan Library trigger, they will lose 4 more life. After using the Wasteland, attacking with the Shieldred, and letting the opponent draw some more cards, they do eventually concede the game because they just can't do anything about our board. Going into boarding, I want 3 Opposition Agent and 2 Tourach to get rid of the Sudden Edicts, the Nihil Spellbomb, the Pithy Needle, and an expensive Shieldred. To start off game 2, we have a decent opening hand, but it is weak in the sense that we don't have an untapped black source turn 1. Anyways, the opponent starts off by putting a Sylvan Library into play. Now with a Thoughtseize off the top of the deck, we have an amazing turn 1 play. Here I play Urza's Saga because I want to play around Daze. Now I can play Chrome Mox pitching the Hymn to Tourach, and we can use Dark Ritual to cast both Thoughtseize and another Hymn. This will let me both take a Force of Will from their hand if they have one, and also empty the opponent's hand as fast as possible, making them pay life to the Sylvan Library to try and catch back up. The main win condition I'm trying to go for here is killing the opponent with Urza's Saga tokens. Seeing a Brainstorm, Omniscience, Uro, and an Atraxa, Brainstorm is clearly the best card. I'm still going to Hymn here because we don't have access to a lot of black mana, and I won't be able to Hymn down the line. With the opponent paying life to Sylvan Library, and me just making construct tokens twice with Urza's Saga, the opponent just eventually dies. So they concede and we move on to the next round. And in that next round, we have an amazing opening hand. The only slight problem with this hand is we are low on black mana, but the fact that we are on the draw, we should be able to find another black source. Now, I want you to look at something. My opponent mulliganed to 3, and then played their whole hand. So now all of my discard spells do nothing. So with the opponent just with mana, and an Urza's Saga in hand with 2 Lotus Petals, I think the only real play here is to try and kill the opponent with construct tokens. A really unfortunate start for the Waste Not deck. And nothing really happens for the first few turns. I do Thoughtseize the opponent when they have 1 card in hand, which turned out to be a Dark Ritual, and they ended up getting a Mox Opal from their Urza's Saga trigger with a Mycosynth Gardens on the table. Now I had an important decision between getting Chrome Mox and Pithy Needle for the Mycosynth Gardens. I chose to just get the Chrome Mox because we do want mana on the board. Now this Pithy Needle play turns out to be a horrendously bad play. With the opponent with just 1 card in hand, they do find Infernal Tutor off the top of the deck, so now they have 6 mana with the Mycosynth Gardens because they got a Lion's Eye Diamond to copy it. Now they can use Echo of Eons that they found from the Infernal Tutor to keep drawing and playing their hand to keep redrawing and doing a load of stuff. Now fortunately, somehow, the opponent did eventually whiff their combo. I think I got slightly lucky for them to whiff the combo, or maybe they messed up, who knows, but eventually they just whiff, pass back, and we can keep bashing with the construct tokens. Now the way Echo of Eons works with Lion's Eye Diamond is that I don't get priority to respond to them before they get to cast the Echo because the Lion's Eye Diamond is a mana ability. So what I worked out is Waste Not is a trigger when the opponent discards a card. So if I put Waste Not into play, then the opponent can never cast Echo of Eons because I have the Nihil Spellbomb to exile their graveyard before they can flash it back. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, after passing back the turn and with the opponent with 3 cards in hand, they concede. Going into boarding, we want 4 Leyline of the Void, 3 Opposition Agent, and 2 Powder Keg, and we take out a load of slow, uninteractive cards that don't work well against the opponent's combo. And going into game 2, we have a great opening hand because we have both Opposition Agent and Dark Ritual with a Chrome Mox to be able to cast it turn 1. Now the opponent does have a turn 1 Unmask. As we don't have any other black sources in hand except this Chrome Mox, the opponent decides to try and mana screw me by taking the Chrome Mox. As the opponent has a Mycosynth Gardens in play and a Lotus Petal, I cannot instantly activate this Wasteland as they will copy the Lotus Petal in response, and the Wasteland's activated ability will fail to resolve. What won't fail to resolve though is killing this Urza Saga trigger before it can be tapped for mana. Now as the opponent has already made their land drop, things do look scary when they get an Entomb with 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds on the board to be able to flashback Echo of Eons. But things don't look too bad for us when they eventually just play 2 0-drop artifacts and pass back the turn with 3 mana floating. I'm really interested in what's in their hand because they just whiffed again on their combo. Now before I tell you what I do here, I want you to leave in the comment section down below what play you would make to actually win the game this turn and lock the opponent out from comboing. So here, I actually decide to play Lotus Petal and Dark Ritual first. This will let me play my Powder Keg to sacrifice it on 0 counters to destroy both of my opponent's artifacts. Now I can play my Chrome Mox and use the remaining floating mana from Dark Ritual to cast Waste Not so that next turn I can start to cast my discard spells to eventually win the game. I believe this to be the best line possible because it prevents the opponent from having to generate 0-drop artifacts in play, and also now we can get a load of mana or resources from our discard spells, which does work because we managed to discard an Ancient Tomb, which makes 2 black mana from the Waste Not, and now we can use Hymn to Torak to draw 2 more cards. With a Wasteland off the top, we can now sacrifice that to destroy the Urza Saga, and the opponent is left with nothing, and next turn we could potentially Shieldred. From here, it's an easy win with a land off the top, we slam the Shieldred, and the opponent concedes the match. With 2 wins under my belt, I get paired against another combo deck, and this one again is mono black, looking to use tutors and to find things to win the game. But we probably have one of the best turn 1s in this deck against a tutor deck, which is double Dark Ritual, Opposition Agent, plus 2 discard spells. There really wasn't much they could have done here. Now, while tutor combo decks are easy for this deck to beat, I found it very hard to beat combo decks that had a load of card draw. Take this for example. I have Leyline of the Void on the table to prevent them from using Past in Flames, a Waste Not so that this Hymn to Torak gets us mana and cards, and we still aren't able to disrupt them enough to be able to win the game. Here the opponent just starts casting a load of draw spells, and because we have no follow-up play and we're very far behind, it's just a lost match. Then going into the final round, game 3 on the draw, I have double Dark Ritual turn 1 and we have a decision to make. I can either play Hymn to Torak and Liliana of the Veil, or Shieldred and Hymn to Torak. Yes, this is 6 mana turn 1. Here I decide to play Hymn to Torak and Shieldred because Shieldred will actually win the game. If I play Liliana of the Veil, I will have to put Shieldred down into play, meaning I would have to draw a lot of mana sources. It's definitely a close call, but I decided to go for Shieldred here because I do just want to kill the opponent as fast as possible. Things were going quite smoothly, but missing our second land drop when the opponent put a Favor of the Mirror Breaker down was a bit sad. To make things even worse, they found a Solitude off the top of the deck, which promptly made me concede. Overall, getting 3 wins and 2 losses with Waste Not and Legacy was a ton of fun, and I'm going to open these chests at the end of this video for you gambling degenerates. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comment section down below what Lord of the Ring cards I should play with now that they're released.